This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. Contrary to the declining trend in Rolex watch prices, the world of vintage and rare timepieces has seen an unprecedented surge in value for certain other brands. While Rolex prices have taken a hit, collectors and investors are increasingly turning their attention to niche and historically significant watchmaker. Brands like Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet have experienced a remarkable appreciation in their vintage models, with some fetching prices that rival or even surpass those once attributed to highly sought-after Rolex watches. This shift in market dynamics highlights the evolving preferences and discerning tastes of watch enthusiasts, ushering in a new era of value appreciation for a broader spectrum of high-end timepieces. In this video brought to you by the Luxury World, we will delve into the reasons behind Rolex falling prices. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to do so now to stay informed about our future videos. In recent months, the resale market for pre-owned Rolex watches faced a decline. Data from the Bloomberg Sub-Dial Watch Index reveals a 2.2% decrease in the indicator for Rolex timepieces in September. Conversely, a separate index encompassing 100 entry-level watches, commonly priced below $9,120, registered a comparatively modest 0.8% drop over the same period. This divergence in market dynamics underscores the varying trends between the luxury watch market's upper level and the more accessible segments. These data suggest that collectors and watch enthusiasts are exercising caution when it comes to investing in the highly publicized models offered by top Swiss brands. This reflects an ongoing reluctance, even following the notable price spikes witnessed in 2021 and the start of 2022. The secondary market for pre-owned Rolex, Patek, and other renowned models had witnessed unprecedented peaks during the pandemic. However, a substantial retreat began in April 2022, linked to elevated interest rates and the downfall of several cryptocurrencies. This sharp decline is attributed to a confluence of factors, encompassing the following: the surge in supply peaks and the establishment of new manufacturing facilities. In recent years, Rolex has consistently ramped up its watch production to address the rising demand for its timepieces. While this expanded supply has been effective in meeting the growing interest in Rolex watches, it has also exerted downward pressure on their prices. The diminishing demand for luxury watches can be linked to increasing interest rates and a decrease in consumer expenditure on non-essential items like electronics, furniture, and apparel. This pattern is partially influenced by buyers seeking to economize. Interestingly, prices for certain mid-tier luxury watches, including those produced by Omega, are experiencing an upward trend, surpassing the growth rates seen in high-end Swiss models. A growing number of consumers are currently in search of unique and underestimated timepieces, sometimes showing a preference for smaller-sized watches. Despite the dip in demand, Rolex has achieved an unprecedented peak in the supply of its watches. Although there were short-lived production pauses during the pandemic, Rolex consistently maintained its output at or above the usual range of 800,000 to 1 million watches annually. Significantly, Rolex is in the process of constructing new factories and has intentions to increase shipments in the upcoming months. This increased supply is geared towards satisfying the expanding demand, particularly in the Asian market. Asian market. Now let us talk about the current situation of the Asian market of luxury watches. The growing desire for high-end watches, such as Rolex, is fueled by the rising affluence and greater disposable income observed in Asian nations like China and India. With a growing number of individuals looking to invest in premium timepieces, Rolex's strategic initiatives to meet this demand through heightened supply are expected to strengthen its standing in the market. The collapse of the luxury watches market. During the pandemic, numerous investors turned to luxury watches as a haven for their capital, resulting in an artificial spike in both demand and prices that reached its height in early 2022. Nevertheless, with the economic slowdown and mounting worries about inflation, investors started divesting their watches, triggering a sharp decline in prices. Throughout this period, more affordably priced entry-level timepieces have demonstrated superior performance compared to both the overall market and the indexes for Rolex and Patek Philippe. The Bloomberg Sub-Dial Watch Index, representing the 50 most actively traded watches by value from Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, has witnessed a 5% decline over 6 months, while the entry-level 100 index experienced only a 0.7% drop during the same period. An interesting deviation from the pattern of less expensive watches outperforming is evident in Rolex's sister brand Tuda, where entry-level priced watches have seen a 4.8% decrease in 6 months. The increase in Rolex prices and the subsequent decline in demand occurred in February 2022, reaching a peak index of $60,000. However, by the end of the year, prices sharply dropped to $36,000, and currently, they linger around $34,000. This significant decrease is attributed to a bubble that formed in the watch market, where speculative investors acquired Rolex watches with the expectation of substantial profits, causing an artificial spike in demand and prices. As the bubble burst, the demand for Rolex professional models waned over the preceding 6 months. Competitive descent in prices. With an increasing number of dealers participating in the Rolex certified pre-owned market, competition has intensified, leading to a reduction in prices. Certain retailers are going to the extent of setting their certified pre-owned prices at 50% higher than the standard pre-owned market value for identical models. Despite this, the competition in pricing is contributing to an overall decline in pre-owned prices, creating a self-sustaining cycle. Market recovery. This pattern is favorable for buyers, allowing them to take advantage of reduced prices, thereby contributing to a recovery and normalization of the market. The ongoing downward movement in Rolex prices is perceived as the market self-correcting after the bubble burst, indicating a gradual return to typical levels rather than a steep decline. Competitive price reductions are observed in other luxury watch brands such as Omega and Vacheron Constantin. The future strategy of Rolex is yet to be revealed. Shifts in consumer preferences. The younger demographic exhibits diminished interest in luxury watches compared to earlier generations, influenced partly by the increasing popularity of smartwatches and other wearable technologies. Consequently, the demand for Rolex watches has waned from its previous levels. Approaches adopted by Rolex. Looking forward, Rolex's strategy encompasses bolstering both supply and demand facets. This involves the establishment of new factories and a significant boost in production, aimed at satisfying the increasing demand for its watches. Concurrently, the brand is actively focusing on broadening its presence in the Asian market, acknowledging the substantial potential for luxury watches in this region. This strategic initiative aligns with the growing demand for Rolex watches and the expansion prospects inherent in some markets like Asia, as we mentioned earlier. The Rolex Certified Pre-Owned Program. In response to changing market dynamics, Rolex has introduced the Certified Pre-Owned Program. Authorized dealers now offer pre-owned Rolex watches that undergo authentication and servicing by Rolex. This initiative simplifies the process for consumers to buy and sell pre-owned Rolex watches. The heightened competition in the secondary market has also led to a reduction in prices. These watches come with a new and comprehensive set of documentation, enhancing the overall value of the purchase. While Rolex does not set the prices for certified pre-owned watches, retailers take on this responsibility. This scenario has created a competitive landscape among dealers, resulting in a downward trend in prices as they compete. When considering whether it is an opportune moment to acquire a Rolex, the answer depends on your intention. If your aim is personal enjoyment, there is never a disadvantageous time for such a purchase. Rolex watches maintain their value over time, and market fluctuations should not deter you. However, if your primary objective is quick financial gain, purchasing a Rolex solely for investment purposes is not advisable due to the unpredictable nature of the market. In the short term, the downward trend in Rolex prices is expected to persist. Nevertheless, the long-term outlook for Rolex remains positive. Rolex is a highly esteemed brand with a rich history of crafting high-quality watches. As the economy rebounds and consumer confidence restores, the demand for Rolex watches is likely to recover. What is your perspective on the factors influencing the Rolex prices discussed in this video? If you enjoyed the video, we would appreciate it if you let us know by leaving a comment and giving it a thumbs up. Do not forget to follow our channel for more content. Thank you for watching The Luxury World, and we look forward to having you join us in our upcoming videos.